Support comes from Missouri Forest Products Association, committed to sustainable and sound conservation of the state's forests, which support more than 41,000 Missouri jobs, resulting in a $10 billion industry. ChooseWood.com.
Welcome to St. Louis on the Air. I'm Sarah Fenske. $600 million. That's the amount of revenue that one new report claims the state of Missouri is missing out on. Its source would be sales taxes on online purchases. Historically, states could only enforce a tax collection obligation on businesses that had a physical presence in their state, like a brick-and-mortar location or remote employees. That allowed major retailers like Walmart to get around sales taxes. For example, if you ordered a package of socks at Walmart.com, even if there's a Walmart right down the block, another company facilitated the purchase and shipped the socks. That loophole let places like Walmart get away with not charging you sales tax on Walmart.com purchases. And all those socks do add up. In 2018, the U.S. Supreme Court took on this issue. It came in a case called South Dakota versus Wayfair, Inc. The court ruled in favor of South Dakota, and its ruling now allows states to charge sales tax on purchases from out-of-state businesses, even if the business has no physical presence in the state. So what is Missouri waiting for? Joining me in studio to talk about this issue is State Senator Karla May. She's a Democrat representing St. Louis City. Senator May, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
We're also joined by phone by State Representative Justin Hill. He's a Republican representing Lake St. Louis. Representative Hill, thank you for joining us.
Happy to be here.
For those of you listening, do you think Missouri should close this online sales tax loophole? If so, what should we do with the revenue? Give us a call at 314-382-8255. That's 382-TALK. Or you can send us a tweet at STL on air or email us at talk@stlpublicradio.org. Now, Senator May, this ruling came down in 2018 from the U.S. Supreme Court. A lot of states scrambled to plug this loophole. What happened in Missouri?
Well, we tried to plug this loophole before that decision was made. Early on, I think it was like 2014, 13, we had a representative on the floor who used to always talk about the internet sales tax and used to file legislation to do the internet sales tax. At that time, the majority party wasn't interested in the taxes. They had a problem with the tax itself.
This was Republicans?
Yes, the Republicans, yes. They weren't interested in the tax. So, it was always the argument about, the party line argument that Democrats like taxes and Republicans don't like taxes. But over time, we have been consistent with trying to do the internet sales tax. So, over time, we've proven that small businesses want this, want the tax because it puts them at a disadvantage. Mm-hmm. We see it right now in the stores and our malls,
Customers there have to pay the full tax.
That's right.
Online customers don't.
Exactly. But people are stopped shopping. Most of the brick and mortar stores during the holiday seasons are losing money because people are just, when I go into some of the buildings right now, the packages are up the wall because people are just ordering all the stuff for the holidays online because they don't have to pay the tax. So,
so you're saying Democrats did try to deal with this. Was there sort of an added urgency last year after this Wayfair ruling?
Well, last year I left the House, so I'm not sure. I don't remember it being in the Senate last year, anybody filing the bill. But, when I was in the House, I know the bill got filed regularly. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, it might have been either Representative Margot McNeil or Mary Nichols. One of them used to file that internet sales tax bill. I have to go back and check it out. But, that used to be a regular thing.
So they were regular attempts. Representative Hill, how did this issue pan out from your point of view? Is this something that you were interested in seeing the House take on to close this loophole?
Well, I was not excited about, collecting more taxes. Mm-hmm. My colleague, Senator May, alluded to, typically, we don't want to necessarily burden taxpayers more than we need to. I think, I don't know how serious those attempts in the past were because Missouri is unique in that it has so many taxing districts. We have more than probably a majority of the states. I think it's upwards of 2,300.
2,300, wow.
Yeah, and the Supreme Court ruling, after it was handed down, I was an opponent of it before they ruled because it was going to create a hodgepodge of different collections and different tax rates and who's going to collect which taxes for which districts, rather than I would have rather seen the resolution come out of D.C., where honestly it should have, because they have the purview of interstate commerce. They essentially, the Supreme Court, plus the authority of the U.S. Congress in regulating interstate commerce. So that's why we're handed this kind of mess.
I get your point there, Representative Hill, but it is kind of interesting to hear a Republican say you want the federal government to take this on as opposed to having the local control to do what we want to do here in Missouri. Is that kind of an unusual argument?
I don't think it's unusual to follow the Constitution. I mean, it specifically states in the Constitution that it is their authority to regulate interstate commerce, because then you get states fighting each other, right? So, I mean, from day one, that's how it's supposed to be. And now here they give us this authority, and now that's why we're having discussions like this.
Well, paying taxes on the internet purchase is not a new tax. We're supposed to actually already be paying them. There's a line on our Missouri tax form where we're supposed to voluntarily pay taxes on our internet purchases.
And Senator May, how many consumers do you think are voluntarily paying that tax?
They're not. But, at the same time, when we were having this discussion about internet tax purchases, it was at a time when, revenue wasn't, doing what it was supposed to do. And we were having local businesses complain about the disadvantage. You get me? So it was hurting small businesses.
Yeah, I mean, so brick and mortar retailers, they say this is just not fair. Chris Kleindienst, who's the co-owner of Left Bank Books, she has said, we're the ones collecting all of the taxes, creating jobs, buying goods and services locally, paying property taxes and investing in school systems, but we're almost penalized by being the only ones who have to collect this sales tax. You're saying, Senator May, this is a parity issue.
Exactly. That's exactly what it is. We need to, level the playing field. This is considered a disadvantage for people who are not brick and mortar, who are invested in the community. It's like getting around. It's a loophole. So taxes are supposed to be paid on merchandise, goods, and services. We should collect them on the internet, whether they're on the internet or locally.
Yeah.
And not, I understand people are tired of taxes. Don't get me wrong. I am probably the only Democrat that argues with my own party about taxes. I don't like them either. I would eliminate all of them. Income, personal property, just to get it out there. But, at the same time, I don't like creating a disadvantage.
So, Representative Hill, you had these concerns and you were hoping the federal government would deal with all of this. But now that we have this Wayfair ruling from the U.S. Supreme Court, what's your take on this issue now?
Well, now it's front and center. We're going to continue to see sales tax collections probably decline as long as there's not some reciprocity installed, right? Because other states are going to do it,
right?
And
they are doing it
now. As far as shops, brick and mortar shops, complaining. This is a transfer, right? So right now you got consumers in Missouri that aren't paying online sales tax, and you got shops losing the business. Well, when we do this, it might level that out a bit. Some of that money that consumers are saving will go back into the system via tax collection. But anything we can do in the future, moving forward, to get away from taxing income and taxing personal property with taxing or by taxing consumption is just better policy.
Okay, so you would like to see this being taken care of for that reason?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
because
if we can reduce income tax, if we can, let's say start with eliminating personal property tax for seniors who are on a fixed income, let's do it.
Yeah, and let's file that bill here. You have put the bill in the Senate. I'll put the you put the bill in the House. I'll do the companion bill in the Senate. Because I'm that's that's a good bipartisan bill.
It sounds like we've got a consensus here. We're making policy on St. Louis on the air.
That's right, because all of the states around us are doing it. I think except Kansas. Every other state around Missouri is doing it except Kansas. So
But the challenge that I fear that Missouri has that no other state has is we don't meet the requirement of the Supreme Court ruling.
How
the Supreme
so?
Court ruling says that to collect online sales tax, it has to be simple, right? And so we're probably going to have to do something with the amount of taxing districts. We really need to stop creating or stop allowing the creation of CIDs and TIDs, because these little overlying districts, it's just going to be very cost prohibitive to collect for these small businesses in California or Florida to collect for these for whomever lives in a special district here.
So these tiny little taxing districts that we've carved out for developers all over town, you're saying those could be a big problem if we try
Those are problematic, and that is why Missouri hasn't been quick to do this, because we have a lot of attorneys that are kind of studying the issue. How are we going to make this simple to qualify under the Supreme Court ruling?
But I think that we can figure that out, because at the same time, these little small taxing districts, that communities are creating in order to get them development. What Missouri needs to do is figure out how to economically create economic development across the entire state and not just in pockets of the state. That's the problem that we have. That's why you have all these little taxing districts coming up, because people see their communities deteriorating and they're trying to figure out how to get investment and development in those areas. So when you favor one part of the state over another part of the state, that's when you have that issue. So I think we can figure it out with a balance in economic development across the state.
Yeah, but the only way to do that is by getting rid of the economic development.
State Representative Hill, we're having a little problem with your phone line there. If you can maybe move to a better corner of your house. For those of you listening, we're talking to State Representative Justin Hill, a Republican representing Lake St. Louis. We're also talking to State Senator Karla May, a Democrat of St. Louis City. Let's go to the phone lines. Oh, and a little bit of the county. Tiny little part, yeah. Let's go to the phone lines. We've got Christy calling from St. Louis. Christy, hi, you're on St. Louis on the air.
Hi, I just want to say that I hope that these two senators can do a bipartisan program that does start taxing the internet sales. I think it's crazy if we don't level the playing field. For one, if the state and the cities could certainly use the millions of dollars to prevent crime and to go back to school. We have issues with both. And also to level the playing field for the small businesses. I own a small business in the city, and I have people that come into my store and they shop, and I sell equipment that can sell for thousands of dollars. And when they realize that they can save lots of money by buying the same thing on the internet, it just makes the shopping difficult. And so I would be all for leveling the playing field, supporting the Missouri businesses, and for supporting our schools and preventing crime.
Christy, thank you for that call. As a small business owner, it's great to hear your perspective. Billy, calling from St. Louis. Hi, you're on St. Louis on the air.
Hey, how are you?
Thank you for joining us. What are your thoughts on the online sales tax loophole?
Yeah, I think it's a wonderful conversation. I'm really glad to hear it being had. I think if the two legislators are going to be successful with this, I imagine they're also going to need the assistance of some of our businesses out there who've actually made a lot of money off of this process that we're trying to close the loophole off of. Walmart, for instance. I mean, part of what I've always thought about with this is Walmart probably underpays about $54 million and a year just in Missouri by taking advantage of this loophole that's not closed. And that's not right. Americans have made Walmart the biggest retailer in America, and they get tax breaks on property tax when they come into neighborhoods. While residential property taxes are rising, they get property tax when they build big box stores, and then they get the benefit from this loophole. And I think if they would come out and support these two wonderful legislators who are trying to find an answer to this as a way of paying back the people of America, that would be a wonderful thing. That's my comment.
Billy, thank you for that. I appreciate that. So both of our callers are in favor of this. However, from Twitter, we did hear from AJ in North County, who tweets, people in St. Louis City and County pay proportionately more in state income and sales taxes than we get back in state spending. So I am fine avoiding state sales tax. Karla May, that sounds like an argument for not closing the loophole. Are you hearing that from constituents who are like, just keep my taxes low?
Well, basically, I mean, everybody wants their taxes low. That's just, to me, that's not a dividing line between Republicans or Democrats. People, don't like taxes in general. So what we're trying to, at the same time, even though we don't like taxes in general, you can't create a disadvantage for, small business owners versus,
Versus Amazon.
Yeah, versus Amazon and all these other companies that you're empowering. So I think that, we still need to level the playing field. And we also need to figure out, how do we lower taxes for consumers? How can we keep more of our income? Because even though we keep more of our income, we'll still be investing it in the community and spending it at the same time. So, like I said, that's, to me, taxes, we got to figure out how do you pay for things. And so this will replace some income that you'll probably lose from other income.
Okay. Let's go back to the phone lines. We've got Cindy calling from St. Louis. Cindy, hi, you're on St. Louis on the air.
Hi, how are you doing?
Thank you for joining us. What are your thoughts on this issue?
Hi, you're on St. Louis on the air.
We're hearing sort of an echo. Are you still there, Cindy? Okay, I think we lost our caller, which is unfortunate. Maybe she'll call back. But we have had a good discussion here today. Senator Karla May, I know that many municipalities are hurting because they want to see this revenue in their coffers. If there's a brick and mortar store, some of the sales tax they're paying is going to that municipality. Now they're missing out on it, and they still have to cover police and fire service. Has there been talk in Jefferson City about doing something to help our cities and towns?
Well, like I said, the conversation for internet sales tax has been ongoing for years. In the legislature, we've had this conversation, and I think that our small businesses, deserve a break, and I think that they are investing in, the taxes that they're paying are going to our school districts, are going to the communities. So at the same time, we need to do the same thing with the internet sales tax, and find out how we distribute that into communities across the state. So,
State Representative Hill, what would you like to see revenue that comes out of if we do close this loophole? Would you want to focus it all on cutting other taxes, or are there things you'd like to see the state do with this money?
Yes. Can you hear me okay?
Now I can. Thank you.
Okay, great. Yes, if we are able to use the revenue to cut taxes statewide, then that is the only fair way to do it. There's 6.6 million Missourians across the state. If we can get all of this revenue from online sales tax and, like I said, reduce personal property or get rid of it, or cut the personal income tax in half, hopefully. I don't know what the numbers are. It probably won't be in half, but any move towards zero is going to be fair and equal among all Missourians.
Okay, well, that is the point of view there from State Representative Justin Hill of Lake St. Louis. Representative Hill, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
And State Senator Karla May, thank you very much for being here.
No problem. Thank you as well.
This is St. Louis on the Air on St. Louis Public Radio, 90.7 KWMU.
Support comes from Missouri Forest Products Association, committed to sustainable and sound conservation of the state's forests, which support more than 41,000 Missouri jobs, resulting in a $10 billion industry. ChooseWood.com.